with Alliance Solutions. I'm in their Manhattan Beach office in California, and I'm going to show you Sage 300 project management and the MyAssistant application and how that can interact with the project management system. So first, I just want to go through a couple slides here. This is a little bit more to do about Sage, but just for your background, we're Alliance Solutions Group. We're a Sage business partner. We deal specifically in the construction real estate marketplace and work with the Sage suite of products, 300, which is the old Timberline application, Sage 100, which is the Master Builder application. We also work with their estimating. We work in on-screen takeoff, Plan Swift. We do work within the BIM environment. We represent Sage Construction Anywhere, HRMS, which is a human resource application Sage offers. And then within our own group, we have a custom software development team that is available to do any apps or applets that you might need. And then we also offer Sage an Easy Cloud, where we can host your applications if you want to get out of the hardware business and move everything to the cloud. So we've got offices in Texas, California, and Florida. And right now we're really working with between 3,500 and 4,000 clients throughout the U.S. and the Caribbean. One of the things we really want to go through quickly here is just the Sage, why work with Sage and what Sage have to offer from a vendor perspective. And it's surprising, but Sage actually has more than 50,000 construction real estate companies that are using Sage in North America alone, and it's growing. So at this point, they're picking up 2 new construction customers per hour. So it's an advancing group of customers. They offer solutions from a very low-end entry level to a very high-end sophisticated application like the Sage 300. We've got software that covers all phases of construction for you, so we can start way back in the design, estimating, finance, project management. We can get to service. When Sage looks at their customers, they're looking at about 500,000 construction projects per year, 7 million subcontracts, and then a high number of rental units if we're in the property management world. We're the #1 provider of software as found by CFMA and several system or associations out there. We really do work in all types of construction. So we have almost 60% of the E&R top 400, over 30% of the E&R top 600 specialty, and then over 31% of the top 100 builders. So we kind of cover the full gambit there. The construction community is over 120,000 users. We get into support professionals as well as business partners and consultants that are out there to help and work with you. And then we've got over 200 business partners and consultants that are available. This group and this application has really been around since the early 70s, very high on the customer support, and then also very high on customer experience. So I'm just going to jump out of that real quick. Just wanted to give you a quick overview, and I'm going to jump right into Sage 300. So for folks that are familiar with Sage, the Sage 300 application, there's a couple ways to experience it. This is the older existing way where we have a group of menus and we've got modules that we can go through. So I can have project management, we can have job cost, AP, AR, general ledger, service, those are all available. We also use something called a desktop. With the software, so by individual, we can design what we want the menuing system to look like, and then also what we want their start page to look like. This comes with Sage 300, so when you load Sage 300 on your workstation, shows up, you can be configured by individual, or you can use the older menuing system, whatever you need. So on the left is actually a list of all of my modules, just like we saw under the TS main component. So when I look at project management, I see that there's a couple things in here, just like all the modules. I have settings. I also have the high levels of areas that we work in. We work in documents. We look in contract control. We have a full set of inquiries and a full set of reports, and then a set of tools. And when we see something like documents, these are the types of documents that we're allowing you to work with in the system. Just out of the box, the software will allow you to work with transmittals. We have a correspondence log capability, drawing logs, so you can get into an area where I can log all my drawings, my revisions, and my sketches, and then search and work with those by job. We have a meeting minute capability, RFIs. We work with submittals, daily field reports, and then the software has the ability to build custom logs. So you can build up to 20 of your own custom logs. And in this case, I've built just a couple, a photo log, a punch list log, a field order log. So the information I want to store, have it related and linked back to my project. And I like to do it all within one system, so all that data, all those photos, all those notes are going to be backed up as we go along. Same idea here with contract control. The system allows you to work with contracts on the owner or the revenue side, commitments, which are subcontracts or purchase orders, and then we work in the change control, change requests flowing through to change orders, and then commitment change orders. And then you also have the ability to put in budgets and production data as we go. So what we effectively do is we're going to take this information, these uses, these users, and I'm going to define my own task list. So this now shows me a set of my tasks as an individual. And from my inventory, I can drag over and build my own workflow of what items I want and what things I plan to do within project management or within my setup. So if we see things like an inquiry or report, or we see things like maybe if I want to get a document in here and I want to go to a custom log and I want to put my photo log out here, I can just drop this in. It shows that I now have a photo log. I can go through and rename this and then pull this out to say, hey, I want to keep my photo log, and I want it to show up on my menu right here, and maybe I want to move it up here, put it right there. So I'm going to have mine. Once I set my workflow, I'm going to go ahead and close the inventory, and I'm going to now have my tasks on the left and my my home page on the right. The idea with the home page is that we can define a starting point, and that starting point is going to be relevant to the individual or the employee type that logs in. In this case, I have a starting page for a project manager. The beauty of this is at this point I am not in Sage 300, so I am not consuming a use of the software. I won't do that until I go into this side of it and I start initiating applications. So at a high level, I've now picked a job, and then from this home page it's showing me basic information that I can drill down to, and then information that's being read out of the system immediately. So I've got profit and contract and cost and documents and schedules, all that information sitting here. As we look at this as a project manager, and if I have questions and I want to see what my insurance log looks like for the vendors that are working on this job, I click on that blue link and it will take me and show me now an insurance log for my job, showing me every vendor and the status of their insurance. I also have the same capability as if I want to go out and look at a cost code breakdown. This is going to go to the job, look at each of the jobs, pull out a cost code, and show me budget information, commitment, and cost information. Now, any of these drill downs or any of these home pages can be modified. We're using Crystal to do that at this point. You can also design your own, and you can design those by individual that you have in the office. And the hope is that a lot of the information that a project manager may need can come from a workstation or come from a desktop. When we get further into this, you'll see how instead of forcing maybe a project manager to come here and find a subcontract log to see exactly where we stand by project, by vendor, I can also deliver this information to the project manager based on criteria that he or she has established. So in this case, this subcontract log is showing me that Kingston Plumbing is my plumber. They're working on this job. That's the subcontract. It is for that cost code. The original subcontract amount was $88,000. We have a change order that's deductive. They've submitted us 2 invoices. We've retained $2,200, and we've issued 2 checks for a total of $12,000. So this is as current as the last time the system was updated. So the beauty of this for project managers are we're always going to show them the most current information broken down to see exactly what the status is. So we use this tool to get people to the data on a reactive environment. I'm going to go out and look for what I need. I'm going to define those logs. I'm going to look to see what we're looking for. We're going to look to see what's out here. And then all this information will sit here and will be available for me as we go along. A little bit later when we look at MyAssistant, I'm going to show you how that information can also be delivered to the project manager on their time basis in the format that they need, just based on using criteria in the data or using conditions in the data. So I've got a project manager. I've logged in. We're sitting in the Sage 300 system. We have access to all of the data that's in accounting, all of the cost data that's there, the contracts, the commitments, purchase orders, subcontracts, everything that's in their accounting job cost system is also available to these project managers. And the way we would do that then is a project manager can decide what is it they want to do. So as an example, as a project manager, if I need to generate an RFI, I'm going to go ahead and click the RFI button, and the software will go out and take me to a form where I can capture an RFI. I can come out now and find an RFI. In this case, I have all of these RFIs on my job that I'm looking at. We can pull that RFI up to take a look and see what job was it, what RFI number was, who it was sent to, what the date it was sent, what the subject was. And what you'll find are links here now that are also available. So I can select the spec section for this based on the spec section for the job. I can go out and reference a drawing and go out and look at all of the drawings that are sitting on the job. So in this case, we can look at any of the drawings that maybe are put on this job. I then can come through here, enter the issue that I have, determine who is submitted by, and then decide what my next step is. So if that is the case and this is acceptable, I can come through here now and I can print this RFI. We're going to go ahead and save these changes. And as I print the RFI, we'll read all of the information off the RFI form, and then we'll render that RFI in a form that we can print now. So there's my RFI. This is defined by individual, by company, so we'll put your logo. What is it the request is you've got going on there? I can print that out and send it. What is more likely we'd want to do is I want to take that RFI now and I actually want to send it. So if I hit the send button, the software realizes that we want to go ahead and send that, and then I can go in and pick the individual. If this person has a email address, it would show up here, and then it will also come through and identify what the RFI is, and then have I attached any documents to this RFI. So that RFI now has a picture that we've associated with it. So I can come through, generate the RFI to a PDF, hit the send button, and this will send that RFI out in an email with the attached picture. If we have multiple attachments out here, we can actually go out and look at those attachments and say, I've got this picture, but I also need this drawing. That file's already attached. Let's attach this one. So now I have two documents out here, which is going to be a drawing and a picture. I want to attach those there. I then want to go ahead and hit send, and off it goes. Once I save this, it actually will log that information into the Sage application for reporting and then for log environments that are out there. If we want to tie documents together, so let's say I have an RFI or I have a submittal, but I actually want to transmit it. So what you'll find is a lot of the documents will link together. So in this case, I can take my RFI, I can click the transmittal button. The software will recognize that this transmittal now, which is number 14, is associated with RFI number 3. So if I were to go out now and save this, the system will automatically log that transmittal, all the information that I've logged. It will look to see what do I have out on that RFI, and then it will allow me to print a transmittal so I can see what the transmittal will look like when I send it. And this will go and read the information and say, okay, this again it's the 14th, it's RFI, it's number 3, I got these attachments, I'm going to go ahead and send that transmittal out. And then when I'm ready, I can hit the send button. The software does the same thing again. It'll generate the transmittal, it'll generate the RFI, and then it will attach my two documents. And then when I hit send, off this goes. The log, it's already been logged, now it goes out through Outlook, and then off we see that goes. So we're allowing you in the software to go to just typical documents that we might see, RFIs, transmittals, meeting minutes, drawing logs. They're all logged within the system. They're all backed up within the system. and they're all as simple as clicking on a link to bring that up to the screen. So I'm going to walk through and show you a little bit about meeting minutes. So now when I have a meeting minute, I go to open it. It's asking me, do I want to create a new meeting based on a previous meeting? I had meetings 10 days ago. I've got a new meeting. I want to base it on that meeting. I'm going to go ahead and look at some existing meetings out here. We'll find a job that's maybe got some meetings set up on it. That one probably should have some. So if we go to that job, I see that we have user-defined list of meetings. I've got owner, GC, architect. I can have subcontract, fire, safety, whatever we need to do. And as I look at these, I can actually come in, select the meeting I want to look at. And now I can manipulate that meeting, print documents associated with that meeting, log associated with that meeting. So this is showing me that my meeting number 5 had general information. It was a weekly meeting. It was done at this location. This is who prepared the meeting minutes, and this is the date and time that we've got here. The software is going to pull an attendees list from our database. We can set up a list of attendees. Now, this is also based off the last meeting. And from here, we can just determine, are the people that we expected here, did they attend or not? And I can check that off as attended. If they did attend and were only there for a couple minutes, I can build in text box to say, this was they had to leave early or had a question about. So just so that I can see exactly what happened within my attendees. And then down here, these are my items. So this is a meeting 1, item 3. We had discussions going on about a fixture schedule. Meeting 2, item 3, we were dealing with building permits. The way the orientation works is, as I highlight a meeting item, and I move down below, this will be the detail. So this is showing my fixture schedule, what the discussions were, who was responsible, what the topic is, what might expect to happen with this. If something happens and we want a new item based on an existing item, I can just generate a new item. In this case, it would be 5-3 based on my original meeting minute of 1-3. And as I move through here, you'll see this is 2-3, 4-3, 5-1. We're just going to define this, get to the point where we've captured all the information we want. Everything looks fine. I go ahead and I hit save, and then when I'm ready, we can come out here and actually generate a meeting minute, a document that's been designed that's going to go pull information that will show me what job we were working on, who the attendees were, what our old business was, and we close it, and what new business do we have out here, and then when our next meeting is. So if we're sitting here and I've got my meeting minute, I can print it, but more likely we'd want to go ahead and send it. And I want the software to look and read who the attendees were, and I want the system to generate whatever my meeting minute is and any attachments that I put out there. And I want to be able to go ahead and read that and then send from my email to every one of the attendees the meeting minute and then anything I've attached to it and anything else I may want to attach to it. So we've got a very consistent workflow environment. If we want to take that meeting minute and transmit it, I go hit the transmittal button. The software reads that I'm in now transmittal 34. It's based on this meeting minute, and we've got that attachment. I can save this now, and then now the software has logged that transmittal. And when I go to send it, the same type of workflow capabilities out there. I'm going to generate the transmittal and the meeting minutes, and we'll send it out to everybody on the user list. So we're trying to simplify the document control process associated with project management while linking things that make sense. So we've got the meeting minute, sent it out. If we were to go out into the software and look at an inquiry, and I'm just going to open the inventory up again real quick and say, let's take this down. I'm going to close my documents. I'm going to go ahead and close this. We'll go to inquiry and we'll say, let's go see a transmittal log. When I pull this transmittal log up, we can start to go in and look at the jobs. So here are my jobs that are in progress. If I double click, there is the meeting or the transmittal that I just generated today. So it immediately was logged into this log. So at any point now I can start to get into the software and start to see what's of my transmittal or status of my RFIs. Are there any overdue? Am I waiting on anything that are out there? Or what's the status on any other document that we may be looking at? You'll find a set of inquiries associated with each. We'll also have a full set of reports. So if I close the report on the inquiry and I go to the report, the same idea, I can get to a report on a transmittal. So I can see a transmittal log that's based on whatever we need to see. So if I double-click this, it'll take that, pull that transmittal log, open it. I can say, show me all jobs, and there's a report now showing me for this job. These are all the different transmittals that I've got out there, and then the number of copies I sent, and will just walk me through until I get down to my number 34, which was from today. It was a meeting minute that I sent to all these people, and then there's the attachment that I sent. So we've got this consistent linking between documents and then all of the associated reporting tools that are reading that database. So the beauty of this is you get the benefit of having a financial and job costing system, while at the same time you actually get to work with a project management system that's designed to be simple, easy, yet powerful as we go along. So we looked a little bit at meeting minutes. I want to go out and show you the drawing log because it is a really simple tool to use. And the beauty of this is most of the clients we walk in, they have rooms full of drawings, or they've got a closet full of drawings. So if we can utilize the scan capability and the attachment capability, we can now start to log everything that we see about these drawings. And in this case, I'm looking at all of my disciplines, but I could just as simply say, just show me the architectural drawings. And as I look at the architectural drawings that I've logged in for this job, I can see everything that has been logged in, but I can also show only the current that are out there. So if we look and see, in this case, we can see that I've got my A1 drawing that came in, and then at this point I added a sketch to the drawing, and in this point they actually had a revision to the drawing, and the revision is now my current drawing. So we give you that ability to capture everything that's going on, and then as I go along I can start to add. So if I'm sitting on a drawing and I want to add a revision, I just click the revision button, I log the revision or I log the sketch. The software will keep track of everything about that document. If you want to send a drawing to somebody, the same idea as everywhere else. I want to transmit it. I hit the transmit button. It'll say, okay, what do you want to send? So I can tell it that I want to send this drawing. I say, okay. It'll come out now and say, all right, we're going to send this drawing, and that's the attachment that I'm sending. And then I can go hit the send button, and off it goes, pick it up, and it'll send it. We also will give you a history of what's gone on with this drawing. So we keep and log everything that's gone on, including when did the original come in, when did the sketch come in, who did we transmit the sketch to, when did the revision come in, who did we transmit that to. So you can go back and rebuild where that document came in and where did that document go. So we've looked at RFIs, we looked at transmittals, we looked briefly at drawing logs and meeting minutes. I think I'm going to go pull up a field report. And the idea with the field report is we've got people out in the field and they are capturing data day to day about the job, and we want to use that for daily field reports. But I also may need it in other places within the software. So as we sit now in here, we can show that this job on this date, I'm capturing the information from a daily field report, and then we can come in each of these tabs are going to allow me to capture different information. So I can start to put weather or site conditions in here so I can see what the day was like. We can put in labor information, so if we just want to capture information about an employee, maybe hours they've worked, and maybe we're not using our payroll system. Or if you are using payroll, we can actually start to capture payroll time entry from the daily field report and then send that information over to payroll, which is then picked up, reviewed by the payroll staff, and then posted in payroll. Can capture subcontractors on the site and then the number of people that are out there. We can look at the equipment. If you have our equipment module, what equipment's out there, what are we doing with it? We can look at any material that's shown up, any work activities we want to capture, any extra work or change orders that we want to note, and then if we have any events, and these are all user defined, so if I had an accident, I can put that in. If we have visitors out there, we can capture who the visitors were. And then at this point, while this project manager is sitting out here, if something happened where they want to create an RFI, I can just click on the RFI button. It'll generate an RFI based on what we have in the daily field report, allow me to save that and actually move forward. So it's a nice environment. We do have a couple of our partners that have actually written RFI components that will run out on a laptop or an Apple or a Mac or wherever you want, whatever you've got a tablet in front of you, and then capture that daily field information and then have it flow through the cloud back into the project management system here for Sage 300. Next thing I want to look at is move over into from the document side of the house over to the contract side of the house. And then I think one of the biggest things and biggest changes you'll see from this product compared to just job cost is we use a concept called change requests. So a change request is an ability to capture potential aspects of a job. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and see if I've got any. I don't have any change requests on this job, so let's go up and find a different job. So here we go. So if I go to this job, it will show that I've got basic change requests out here, and then I have multiple change requests. And just from this status, I can see that I've got 14 change requests, and then a description of each of the change requests, as well as the status of each change request. So we can start a change request in a potential environment. I know something is probably going to happen. Something did happen. I don't know what ultimately we were going to do with it yet, but I want to go ahead and capture that so I can start to build the change request. We can also build it and then send it. When we submit it, we'll keep it as submitted. We can start to get some feedback. That change request can be, we can get a verbal okay. They may come back and deny it. We may come back, they may be approved, but we haven't gotten all of the documentation yet, and then I can actually get the approved change request and send it over to the accounting side of the house so that they can play with it from there. So I'm actually going to look at a verbally okay. Excuse me. So we have a little, so give you a little feel of what's happening within this application. So we're working on this job. This is my change request number 3. It's for additional sills. It was done on this date. It's going to the architect, the agent, the owner agent. It's based on a bulletin. These are user defined, so I can say this based on this bulletin. Do I have a schedule impact? I've got a scope, so I can go ahead and actually put together what it's for, who did it, where did it come from. The second tab is just building details that we may need in our documents or in our change orders as we go. So we can identify when's a response due, and then what the urgency is, and maybe did I receive a notice to proceed. And then on this side, we're starting to capture what contract do I want this to go to, or do I know of a specific line item on my contract that I want to assign this to. And if I leave this blank as we move forward, the software will give me different points in time to determine if this change request, when it's approved to a change order, does the change order go to an existing line item on a contract? Is it its own line item on a contract? Is there a combination of those? We can handle all of those scenarios within the change request. The last tab is actually out and is where I can start to price the change request. We do this a couple ways. There's actually 4 different views that are available. I can start to capture information, and I can do it from an estimate. How do I want to change my budget, and what are the cost codes I'm going to change, and then what is the quantity or the cost that I want, and I can start to build that in here. We can also go out and send out, in this case I've sent out 4 change requests, or I've got a request for quotes that'll show me what vendor and what item I'm asking them to quote, and then I will capture what that vendor price was, and then I can associate it to their subcontract, so that as this change request is moved to a change order, we've actually identified the subcontractors that are doing the work for me, and then when I approve a change request, I can also then go approve the associated change request for the subs. So it's a related environment. It's something that you'll see as we flow through here, and the idea is we're capturing vendor information, we're capturing budget information, we're capturing pricing information. I'm allowing the system to mark those costs up with, say, overhead and profit. And then when I'm ready, I can just go ahead and hit this. We'll preview the change request. It's gone out to a form that's associated with the job, saying, all right, that's who I'm going to send it to. It's a change request for $18,000. We give them a place to sign it. If we want to send it, if we want to transmit it, same idea. Hit the send button. Change request goes to a PDF. Off it goes. Transmittal, send it, whatever you need to do. That's done right here. Add attachments, whatever we're doing. So one of the things that really makes this an interesting environment is when we go into change orders now, we assume that the change requests are going to be associated with change orders. So I'm going to go pull up an existing change order. And on this side of the house, it's the same job we looked at. This is a change from our client, change number 3, and then I know from my description it's going to be associated with change requests 5, 7, and 8. It's going to be on this contract, and then because I've decided I've given it a change order contract item number 19, so I want this change order to be billed separately. So I can do it that way. I can also eliminate the contract item, and it will go back to the original contract and bury the change in each of the line items. And it's as simple as saying, hey, the owner came through and he approved 4 line items, or 4 of my change requests for change order number 3. So I just come out here, and the software will show me what are all of the open change requests. And then when I move it from this, I drag it down here, or I double-click on it, it actually will change the status from verbally okay to approved, and then it will put it in the change order, and then now when I'm ready I can come out here, take whatever I've put on my change order, have the software generate that change order document for me based on however we've designed it, and send it off for signature if we need that, or just for our files if we need that as well. Same thing here, send it, transmit it, add attachments. It's all designed to manage that many-to-one relationship between change requests and change orders so that we can look at any point in time and see where we stand within that environment. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my inventory here a little bit, and then I'm going to go back into my reports now. And what we'll find is if we have change requests, we've got change request reports. So we've got logs out here now with full details by status, by reason. We can start to look at requests for quotes that are outstanding. We've got notice proceed letters that we may want to generate based on approved change orders. We've got dunning letters for things that are overdue when we're looking at distribution. So every place we capture that data, every place we work with that data, we're also providing you either a full set of reports, which is you typically to paper or PDF, or we're also going to give you inquiries that will let us go out and look. In this case, an inquiry tends to be more of an interactive drill down than it is a piece of paper. So, and this, we're looking at these different jobs, and it's showing me this job has original contract, potential, submitted, approved, changes. If I double-click on the job, it'll take me out and show me what exactly do I have out here. So in this case, we're showing that this change request, 1 through 14, that change request number 4 is on change order number 1. Change request number 3 includes change this 5, 7, and 8. So we've set that relationship between what's happening within the change requests and the change orders. And the beauty of this tool is it actually allows you to modify these inquiries so we can start to add information. So you can build a spreadsheet that makes sense for whatever it is you want to see. So I can define these. We can come through now and say, all right, well, I want to see that. I want to see this. I'm going to define it. And at any point when we're in this, I can actually add information, which will just allow me to access the database and start to pull information that's out here. So if we want to come out and see exactly maybe, I don't know, what the number was or what the sequence or the date or the source type, if we want, I can say, hey, I want to put the source there. So now I can see that some of them are based on RFIs or some of them are addendums. So it's allowing you to utilize this full set of tools, both inquiries and reports, to get to the information that's associated with project management, which is typically going to be those documents as well as the change requests and change orders. So the opposite side of this is if we're going to the subcontract side. We can come out now and start to look at whatever we've got out here. So if I say, okay, we've got this commitment that we've picked, and I can say it's 2321. Actually, I want 2321. Or we can use this one, 2318. I can start to capture information about this commitment change order, who I'm going to send it to, and then when I hit the select I can now get a list of all of the change requests associated with this subcontract that came out of change requests. And then as I pull those in, what we'll find is the same type of relationship. That when I issue a change order to the subcontractor, it will be linked and associated with the change requests that were approved by the owner. So it's an easy way to start to manage the upstream and downstream relationship on the change requests and use a very consistent approach and feel. Forms, sending, transmittals, printing, updating can all be done within one simple environment. We can get to that from that one component right there. So we're about 20 minutes till. I want to jump from here and go over and look at MyAssistant. And the idea with MyAssistant is that it's an add-on that works across all of the Sage 300 environment. It's a warning tool or a notification tool, and it's designed to sit on the data and look for criteria and then to send warnings inside the office or outside the office based on changes in the database and or transactions that are happening within the 300 world. I think it's easiest to show you a couple and then kind of walk you through how we do those. So the software has a group of about 300 warnings that come in the system. And then you can take those warnings and you can copy them, and then you can modify them, or you can design yours from scratch, or you can just activate them as you go along, and then tell the system when and where you want to do this. So if we look, I've got a dozen or so identified. I want the system to monitor vendors that have expiring workman's comp insurance, or I want to look for vendors that don't have 1099s, or I want to see any of my invoices over a certain size, or I want to look at lien waivers that have not been received from primary vendors. So we've got them around accounts payable and accounts receivable, customers, cash, equipment, general ledger, job cost. This is on the costing side, so that if I want to look at things like cost codes with a committed cost greater than the estimate. So why would I want to do that? So I budgeted X. I've got purchase orders I've issued or subcontracts that are greater than that. And I want the software to warn the project manager when that happens. We'll go into project management, and what you'll find is a lot of the documents that we were working on, we're going to find the same thing. So we have submittals, we have RFIs, we have change requests. We can have these warnings that will show me if I have a job that has too many open RFIs, and I may say that 5 is the number. And I want the software to send the project manager warning when they get to the point of having 5 open RFIs. Or I want to see jobs that are missing daily field reports, or I want to see RFIs that are not been answered in the last 5 days. And the software is going to let me take these and generate these in any way that I want. I'm going to actually activate one when I say I've got unapproved change requests. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's activate that unapproved change request. So as we walk through the activation process, we determine now what is the criteria I want. I want to see all change requests that are still unapproved after how many days. So maybe I come down here and I say I want 20 days. And then I hit next. And then it'll ask me, when do I want to run this task? Do I want to run it on demand? So do I want to sit at my desk and go, hey, how many of those unapproved change requests do I have that are over 20 days? Or maybe I want to schedule it. So maybe I say, you know what I want to do is I want to run this weekly on Monday. Or I want to run it daily at 8, or I want to run it monthly on this point in time. So we let you define how that is. The beauty of this, though, is that I can run this at the conclusion of a program in Sage 300. So if this is something that's about a change request, I can actually come out and tell the software, when we go into project management and I go into the change request program, all I have to do is find it, change requests. When project manager goes into the change request program, works with the data, and closes it, I want you to run this and then warn me. So I'm going to do it at the end of a process. So I can send this to an individual. Like I can say this is going to Glenn at this address so we can see how it works. But I can also come in here and say, you know what, I also want this to go to my email directory, which will show me maybe both the project manager, and I want to actually copy the superintendent. And I can say I can set up who this comes from if we want. So now I'm sending it to 2 people. I can build in a little email text that says, okay, dear and then I can come out into the change request and pull any of the data that I want out of this. So as we go down in here, what I'm exposing you to right now is actually what's going on in the software. This is the database. So if I look at a PJ change request and I click here, we can now start to see, okay, that's all the data that we looked at on that change request. So all of that data on that change request is actually going to be exposed to this warning. So I can start to pull information in here and say, dear so-and-so, this is associated with, and then from here I can just start to drag information over or double click on it, and it says, wait, I want that right there. There we go. And then I'm doing a merge print. Below the line now, it's also going to pull and give me a log of the data that I'm asking for. It's the same idea here. We've got data now that is available, and I'm going to go ahead and just keep moving this forward, and then we'll go ahead and say I want to sort this by job when it comes in. Do I want to include a report or inquiry? And I'll say next, and then do I want to see this a separate email for task? I'm going to go okay, and do I want to schedule follow-up? And I'll say no. So right now it's going to go out here and it's going to run this warning for me. And you can see it's running it from my desktop, and it'll come out and say, hey, you know what I found? I have found 6 of these jobs that have these change requests that meet that criteria that I'm looking for. So now the software is generating that data. And the beauty of this is that data can get to me in one of a couple ways. So if we were to go back in, and let's say I want to go back to my desktop, and I want to go to that change request real quick, so you can show how it works. And I say, all right, let's go to that change request. Let's open it. I'm going to make a quick change on one of these. So I was going to say, let's get that verbal okay. And for whatever reason, when I'm out here now, I want to take this and say my schedule impact is going to be more like 4 days. So I save this. That's fine. I close it. And then what you'll find down in the corner here in just a second is you'll see a warning that will pop up. And it will tell me that right now, it went out and it ran that unapproved change request. So I can see that, and it will show me that somebody did something in the system, and I've told it now, this is what I'm looking for. So we're getting a feel for exactly what's going on. The other thing that it did is it just delivered that to me in an email. So the thought with this is I can get the information, have it brought to the screen. I can get the information, have it generated, and it'll show me what I have outstanding. And I'm going to keep this one for a second and show you some pretty slick features. But the other thing I have the option to do is actually just to go from, we call a live tile, and run that same information and bring it right to the screen. So all of the warnings that I have activated, all of the things that are concerned for me, are going to be delivered right from this live tile. So in this case, hey, what RFIs do I have that are not returned in 5 days? Or what do I see out here? Show me any of my cost codes that are over budget. I've got the information now. I can drop it in Excel. I can generate it to a PDF. I'm working with that information. I'm not inside 300 at this point. I'm just utilizing this tool to get my data. So now this is an internal environment where I'm working with the data. It also has a capability for us to work outside the system or in groups. So an example of this would be, let's say I've got my jobs and I have vendors on my jobs and they have insurance expiration dates or they have things that are overdue. I actually can warn somebody in the office that says, okay, these are the vendors that have insurance that are expiring in the next 30 days. So I've got a nice list of what's going on here. That's great. It allows me to provide a document for someone to call those vendors and find out where their insurance are. Really the beauty of this, though, is I can also tell the software at the same time, when you see a vendor whose insurance is expiring in the next 30 days, I don't want you to send that email internally. I want you to actually send it to the vendor. I want you to tell them, I want you to build a template. We're going to tell them what vendor, what insurance is expiring on what date. And I also want at the time to attach a document that shows them my insurance requirements. So now we're sending a document to the vendor based on insurance that's associated with the project, and it's all happened automatically, and it looks like it was generated by someone in the office. So we've got dozens of these that are available, and this is an example of one you might use. This one says project managers told me that they're getting inundated with emails from my warning system. All the things that they're getting warned on, it's just too much. Can we just send them one daily email that shows them everything that happened during the day? So in this case, it's a daily email that went out, and then it shows that these jobs with these cost codes went over budget. It shows that these are the RFIs that are 5 days overdue or greater, and that these are the change requests that have been submitted and not approved that meet a criteria. So we're working through this tool, and we're associating it with the database. Specifically, in our case this morning, the project management database. So what is it that I want to see? What is it? Who needs to see it? When do they see it? Is it going to be an email? Is it going to be a warning on the desktop? Is it going to be a timed environment? Is it going to be something that I ask for, or is it going to be something that the system generates based on an activity that happened inside the software? And then finally, the thing I want to show you is something that's new. It's something that's coming out in the next quarter or so. It's in a revision to MyAssistant, and it's called Communicator. The idea sits on top of what we just talked about. The idea that there is data that's going to be captured based on tasks, based on criteria, and then it's going to be sent out. So what we have now is all of these warnings, these tasks that are going on. So if I'm looking at things like invoices over a threshold, these are all the invoices that meet some threshold that I've got out here. This may be invoices, excuse me, let me go back up here. I want to look at vendors with insurance expiring. And then the software will let me select something, and let's just say I select this A1 electric, and I want to actually set up a task. So what I can do is say, all right, let's take this A1 electric, and I want to go ahead and set up a task, and that task is going to be for someone in the office. So now what we have the ability to do is utilize Outlook to work with components of data that are being generated by MyAssistant. So this may be something that I want to send to somebody to say, hey, would you take a look at this? Or I may want to go ahead and set up a meeting request, or I may want to set up a conversation about this. But the component that I'm worried about is a workman's comp expiration on this vendor that generated out of MyAssistant. So we're giving you the ability to work with the data, to utilize Outlook as the place that's going on here. The other thing that this works and this looks like is, think of this as a query. So let's say you've got something that you're worried about, and it's this vendor's missing 1099 information. So I know these are the vendors out there. So I send out a task, and I say, I need you to go check these 5 vendors and get their 1099s. And then, so now while I'm sitting here, I can actually tell the system that someone went out, hopefully, and fixed it. So if I click the refresh button, that just tells the software actually to go back out to Timberline and rerun that query again so that I can see what's happened, have people resolve those issues for me. So I'm running through the history now of what's been going on within this based on what's happened outside of Timberline. The other place that we may see this come into play is this will also allow me to send this requirement or send this request over to, say, a vendor or to somebody that's working with the data. And maybe a couple examples might be, I want to send an email to an architect saying, hey, this is an RFI that I'm waiting on. Or I want to see information, in this case, this RFI that's out there. So we also let you build that email so that when the email goes out, it will have boxes. So the architect can actually go onto the email to send you a response to that RFI. So if I double-click, this is what it would seem like. So I sent the RFI to the architect telling them, hey, on this job, RFI number 11, this is the question. I need you to go ahead and enter the answer. So the architect goes on the RFI email. They type in the answer. They send it back to me. MyAssistant will keep track of the email we sent to the architect, the email they sent back, and when I open it up in my Outlook, with their answer entered in here, I can hit the update button, and this will send the answer that is associated with that block and put it back on the RFI. We use that, or we're going to be able to use that throughout the system. So think about things like employees. maybe we have employee information that shows their address, phone, fax, email, all that information. I can send them an email from MyAssistant that asks them to review the information about your employee master file, update it, and send it back. The email comes back to the person who sent it, maybe the payroll manager. They review the information, hit update it, changes it on the employee. So almost any of the data that we may see, and in our case today, when we're looking at information in here, if we are getting updates, so maybe we're getting updates on submittals, or maybe we're getting updates on RFIs, or maybe we're getting updates on, I don't know, percent completes, we can utilize this tool to provide a reporting engine, or at least provide a documentation capture engine that will come back into Outlook, and then we can send that data back. So it's kind of a unique tool that isn't released yet, but it's building itself on the warning capabilities that we see within Sage 300, and then a write-back capability that's out there. So I know I've kind of used the fire hose here, and I've pushed a fair amount of information out to you in the last 55 minutes.